At Minnesota's state capitol, he was torn down. In Boston, beheaded. Statues of Italian explorer Christopher Columbus are coming down across the country amid civil unrest over the death of George Floyd. The Columbus statue in Chicago's Grant Park is still standing, although it was recently spray painted and splattered with red paint. Onlookers had differing opinions.
I don't think that people should have trashed the monument. Christopher Columbus discovered America. It is what it is. You don't like it, you got to read history. But you don't come up here, you don't put paint and vandalize it. That's wrong. Why other people have to come here from other places, countries, states, to see this?
I believe that all Confederate, imperialist, and colonist statues should be torn down. I think that's literally the least that the city can do to combat racism. I think there's so much more that needs to be done.
West of the Loop, in Little Italy's Arrigo Park, this Columbus statue was vandalized the previous night, according to a Park District employee guarding it in his truck.
Christopher Columbus today represents the beginning of colonization and genocide that this country was founded on. When he arrived, not only did he enslave and kill Native people, but he also set the stage for the beginning of slavery, chattel slavery, that defined the beginning of America. And so he's responsible in our minds for that violent and negative history.
American Indian Center Executive Director Heather Miller disagrees with the statues due to Columbus's enslavement and killing of indigenous people in the Caribbean. But in a statement, the president of the Joint Civic Committee of Italian Americans called vandalism of Columbus statues acts of hate against Italian Americans, adding, the destruction of the Christopher Columbus statues would be a hate crime against Italian Americans.
The folklore around him as sort of discovering, quote unquote, the new world was something that was latched onto by Italian Americans to really sort of stake their own sort of ethnic claim to an American identity. Right?
Chicago History Museum Assistant Curator Julius Jones says monuments can take on new meanings after they're built.
These monuments have a history that oftentimes is significantly removed from the history they're trying to represent.
So this is Balbo Monument. It was given to Chicago in 1933 by Benito Mussolini, the fascist dictator of Italy. The monument commemorates the 1933 transatlantic flight by aviator Italo Balbo from Italy to Chicago for the World's Fair.
One of the reasons why the monument is still standing is because it was ultimately decided that the monument was a commemoration of this flight across the Atlantic, was separated from what happened after that with fascist Italy joining the Axis and fighting the war.
As times change, so do the communities surrounding monuments. On Chicago's south side at Oakwood Cemetery, just south of East 71st Street or Emmett Till Road, and over this barbed wire wall is the Confederate Mound, a memorial dedicated in 1895 that marks a mass grave of Confederate soldiers imprisoned at the Union Army's Camp Douglas in Chicago.
Now you have an area of the city that is overwhelmingly African American. Obviously, many of those people being descended from enslaved persons. And so to have monuments to the Confederacy is off-putting and unsettling.
Some cities are formally removing their Columbus statues. Whether that happens in Chicago remains unseen. One thing that isn't going away is the conversation surrounding controversial monuments. For Chicago Tonight, this is Evan Garcia.